Tesla's stock has not been good to investors in 2022. I think this is a pretty well-known fact. As of recently, the stock has been dropping exponentially faster than the markets for a lot of reasons that we'll talk about here in this video, and potentially some catalyst on the near-term horizon, one of those being next week and the other one in late January, that could turn things around quite a bit for Tesla. And I do have a trade on Tesla that potentially, if the stock moves up about 40% from now until the end of January, you could turn $350 into $5,000 with this one trade. I'm not a financial advisor, but we will talk about what that trade is here in this video, guys. Nonetheless, we're going to talk about who is selling, why are they selling, when could the selling potentially stop. Take a look at the short interest. We're going to take a look at cost to borrow rates currently for Tesla stock. Take a look at the technicals, and guys, we got much more to go over. So let's get straight into this video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys like these kind of videos. So first things first, let's just acknowledge what has happened recently with Tesla stock. From the all-time high of $414.50, Tesla stock is now trading at $113.15. And you're just talking a year ago, the stock was almost at all-time highs. So the year-to-date drop is about 72.5%. The all-time drop is about 75%. Depending on what time you're watching this video, the stock is quite volatile today. Nonetheless, pretty safe to say the stock is not doing investors kindly. And 10%, according to the Wall Street Journal, 10% of retail investors' portfolios are held in Tesla. So a lot of retail is especially feeling the pinch of this crash. At the same time, Tesla has grown to be a huge institutional investor stock, right? A lot of people with money, if you don't own Tesla, what are you doing, man? You got to be a part of the green wave, the new wave, electric vehicles, right? You got to be in that field for a lot of different investors. So the stock falling like this is definitely stomach churning. Now, today is the first green day in quite a while. As you can see from the chart, it's been pretty much straight down. Tesla stock currently up about 3.30%, coming off of its lows and actually hitting a key support level we'll talk about later on throughout this video. So I should say, do you guys want the good news or the bad news first? And the bad news that really dropped the stock yesterday, we'll just start with that because let's end this off with some good news. It says NIO stock drops following cuts to Q4 delivery figures, production concerns. Now, NIO cut their production and delivery numbers by about 10%. This caused Tesla stock to drop quite a bit yesterday. And specifically, it caused the stock to drop about 11.5% because people are concerned. You know, what's going to happen with Tesla? I mean, that's their biggest concern. You got the Fed raising rates, you got demand slowing down. Tesla's cut prices on two of their most popular models by about $7,800 just in the last month and a half. So you usually don't do that if you're seeing good demand. And that's a big problem because when you go through economic downturns, when demand slows down, automakers, they're the ones that are usually hit the most. And the expenses to make vehicles usually are pretty high. I know Tesla has pretty good margins, but once demand slows down, you cut prices, your margins can quickly evaporate. So there's a lot of reasons why people are a little bit concerned about Tesla. Now, Tesla also came out yesterday and announced they will be shutting down for the Chinese New Year, which that'll be about 2 weeks from January 14th towards the end of January, if my numbers are correct there. And that's causing quite a bit of concern about Tesla's numbers in, Q1 of 2023, especially given, like I said, demand is already slowing down. But as of next week, guys, the positive catalyst is potentially going to be the delivery numbers. We are expecting Tesla to post record delivery numbers yet again, about 442,000 new vehicles. That's the analyst estimate, and there's different analysts. Some are higher, some are lower. That's the average analyst. That's what the markets are expecting. So if we get that number, it's going to be very good. Now, I will say Tesla tends to underestimate their numbers, so they tend to beat those numbers. So if that's the case, given what has happened with the stock over the last couple of weeks, you could be in for a massive rally. And then you got earnings. That's going to be the catalyst in late January. The production numbers for December usually come out in the first week of January. So that's going to be hopefully the next week. End of January, that's where you're going to get earnings. And if you bet on Tesla around earnings, you usually have gotten smoked. So I don't think this time's going to be any different. I don't expect Tesla numbers to be dramatically lower. After all, I live in Michigan. Maybe this is just biased to me, but I've noticed a lot more Teslas on the road, especially over the last year, right? You kind of see a couple a day now, and that's a lot more than you've seen 2-3 years ago. I live in Michigan. Like I said, most people are gas guzzlers. They like their engines, right? California might be a little bit different. So maybe that's just biased to me, but I don't expect Tesla to have super bad numbers. So I think after this huge drop, there's a lot of that risk taken off the table going long right here. And that is what I did with my trade today. And we'll talk about that when we get into the technicals. But I do want to go over the Ortex data briefly for you guys and address one more concern before we do. So Elon has been selling massive amounts of Tesla. Elon just on December 16th disclosed he sold $23 billion worth of Tesla stock. And he just sold another 22 million shares on December 16th. So a lot of this pressure you've been seeing has actually been from Elon himself. And another big reason why the stock is falling is because people are concerned he's spending too much time at Twitter. Now, depending if we get a new CEO that steps in at Twitter, that looks to be the most likely outcome. That's another big potentially bullish factor here, right? It's hard to see the situation getting worse on that front unless Elon just keeps selling more Tesla, and I don't think he wants to, but if he does, that brings up another concern of why is he selling so much? Is he selling because the business is going down the crapper, or is he selling because he needs money to fund his other ventures? That will become a question later down the line. But as you can tell from a lot of what I'm explaining to you guys, a lot of the risks here, since the stock is down 72% from its all-time high, are not as bad, right? The risk that the stock continues to go down is a lot lower than the stock catching a bounce. Even if it's a short-term bounce when we get new lows, the risk is definitely more so weighted to an upside move rather than a downside move. And there's a lot of things potentially that could be here that could be bullish. Even some people talking about Warren Buffett taking a stake in Tesla at some point in 2023 as the valuations continue to come down lower. And honestly, if there's ever been a moment that you guys wanted to be an investor in Tesla, it's probably now. Don't quote me on that. I would personally start a position if I hadn't already over the last couple of years and you wanted to be in Tesla, I would at least start that right now. But hey, I'm not a financial advisor. Do what you guys please. Now, if we take a look at the short interest, now this is a big problem because I think the short interest, considering what the stock has done, should be a lot higher. So this leads me to think it's not necessarily that a lot of people are just bearish on Tesla all of a sudden. The short interest is only 2.67%. This is not an indication of a lot of pessimism on the stock. Usually if people are pessimistic on a company, you're going to see 10, 15, 20% short interest at least. It's only 2.67%, which is very much in line with a lot of other, big tech stocks, a lot of your well-known names. So it's probably been a lot of the Elon selling, some institutional selling that has been causing this drop. It's not that people are betting, they're not shorting the stock in massive numbers. That's not what is happening. So I think that's pretty interesting. They're obviously selling for good reasons, like we talked about here in this video, but I do think it's quite overdone at this point. Even if we should be trading at these levels, it's been too far, too fast, too aggressive. So like I said, I do think the risk is to an upside move here rather than a downside move. If we take a look at the option activity on the day, we have seen $4.7 billion go into Tesla options, 789 individual orders, positive order value of 26%. So not very positive whatsoever. And that is, helping to keep the stock in a docile kind of state, right? Over the past week, you've seen $19 billion head into Tesla options, and the positive order value is only 35%. So there's a lot of negative positioning around Tesla as of recently, and that's pretty clear to see from the stock price. Now, let's talk about this trade that I put on Tesla, and let's talk about the technicals, guys, because it's been straight down. So it's not like I'm making a huge call here of this potentially U-turn, but we did hit a key level today. We hit the low of $8 or $108.25. If Tesla ever gets to $8, dude, oh my gosh, let's not even think about that. That would be really, really bad. But you hit that low at $108.25. This is a major level that I have been watching, right? If we go ahead, draw this line, that's right here, the same level you hit after, a pretty decent rally in August of 2020 until about the beginning of September of 2020. If we actually go ahead and see what the percentage gain on this was, that was a rally of about 89%. And then obviously, as you typically do, you pulled back down, and you did pull back down about 34%. And then you found support at this level around $108.25. And that's where you found support, and you never went back down to that level. So this is a new level we have not seen since essentially we rallied huge in 2020, came down to this level, found support, and then rallied back up. So this was a major level, and we did find support here again today at that level. It's unless something drastically changes by the end of the day, this is looking very bullish. This is also a key level where we found resistance before this 89% rally, back here in July. So for a lot of reasons, this 108 level is huge, and you held support there even as the markets are currently dropping. Tesla stock is actually popping. So I do think this can trigger and will trigger some algorithmic trading to take place on the stock and potentially push us higher, especially if these delivery numbers are coming in at another record high for December, guys. So there is that. That's the biggest piece of technicals that I could give you. If I were to try to forecast a bounce, it's going to be to the last level of support that we did see in the last bounce period that we did get, which could be around 165 to about 170. In this range, that would be a very respectable bounce, but considering the fall we've seen, it wouldn't be too much in the grand scope of things. Now, that would give you, in theory, if the stock rallied to $165 with this bounce, that would give you the max gain of $360 into $5,000. And essentially what I did to really play both of these potentially bullish catalysts, the delivery numbers in early January and earnings coming on January 25th, is I went out to the January 27th option expiration. I went out and I bought a 155 call and sold a 160 call. I did that 10 times at $36 a piece. Cost $360. Your max gain is $500 per spread. You got 10 of those, right? Because you bought 10, you sold 10, you got 10 total. That's a $5,000 gain, right? And I do think for reasons here in this video, it is very possible. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor. Do not trade options if you are unwilling to lose all of your money. That's just how options roll. So this trade is obviously not for everyone, but I do think there is a big potential here to trade a bounce in Tesla stock, guys. So that is going to be it for this video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.